Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the news from SABA satellite channel from Marib. Here are tonight's top stories.
Government rallies and international support reaffirms peace while condemning Iranian and Houthi escalation.
Interior Minister expands security partnerships with the UK and Japan.
Government seeks expanded development and humanitarian partnership.
Welcome back. President of the Presidential Leadership Council, Dr. Rashad Al-Alimi, reaffirmed Yemen's strategic partnership with Egypt during talks with Egyptian Ambassador Ihab Abu Sarir. The meeting focused on the long-standing ties between the two countries, regional developments, and efforts to strengthen bilateral cooperation following the Yemen-Egypt strategic dialogue held in Cairo in May. President Al-Alimi expressed Yemen's appreciation for Egypt's steadfast support for the Yemeni people and the country's constitutional legitimacy, praising Cairo's role in promoting regional security, easing tensions, and advancing common Arab interests. The president also briefed the Egyptian ambassador on the government's ongoing economic reform program despite the challenges posed by the Houthi terrorist militia, while highlighting Saudi Arabia's continued support for Yemen's recovery efforts. Looking ahead, President Al-Alimi called for building on the outcomes of the strategic dialogue by activating the Joint Ministerial Committee and expanding cooperation in training, higher education, investment, and reconstruction. During the meeting, the Egyptian ambassador conveyed greetings from President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and reaffirmed Egypt's support for Yemen's security, stability, and peace.
President Rashad Al-Alimi praised South Korea's long-standing support for Yemen during a farewell meeting with South Korean Ambassador Do Young-K, marking the end of the ambassador's tenure. President Al-Alimi commended the ambassador's efforts to strengthen bilateral relations, describing South Korea as one of Yemen's key development partners. He also expressed appreciation for Seoul's continued political, humanitarian, and development support, as well as its role in the United Nations Security Council and its chairmanship of the Yemeni Sanctions Committee. The president also highlighted repeated Iranian violations of Yemen's sovereignty, including the recent direct flight to Houthi-held Sana'a airport, and expressed confidence in South Korea's continued role in supporting the implementation of United Nations resolutions and to strengthen measures to curb the financing and arming the Houthi terrorist militia.
Prime Minister Shaya Zindani called for stronger international action to address continuing Iranian violations of Yemen's sovereignty. During talks in Aden with French Ambassador Catherine Kerm-Kamoun, the Prime Minister highlighted the recent direct Iranian flight to Houthi-held Sana'a airport, describing it as a clear violation of international law and UN Security Council resolutions. He stressed that the international community must take greater responsibility to halt Iranian interference and its continued support for the Houthi terrorist militia, while reaffirming the government's commitment to implementing reforms aimed at strengthening state institutions, improving public services, and promoting economic stability. For her part, Ambassador Kerm-Kamoun reaffirmed France's support for the Yemeni government and welcomed the progress achieved under the government's reform program.
In a public message addressed to Yemenis in Houthi-controlled areas, Dr. Shaya Zindani reaffirmed the government's commitment to a comprehensive peace while accusing the Houthi terrorist militia of repeatedly undermining efforts to end the conflict. The Prime Minister said the government supported the Saudi Arabia and Omani mediation efforts, backed United Nations-led initiatives, and firmly accepted the United Nations roadmap, while the Houthi militia chose military escalation. He said the government worked to keep Sana'a Airport, Hodeidah Port, and Yemeni Airways operating for the benefit of citizens despite Houthi attack on oil export facilities that severely reduced state revenues.
The Prime Minister added that the government had proposed practical solutions to resume flights from Sana'a Airport, including acquiring additional aircraft and working with commercial airlines, but said the Houthi militia rejected those proposals to maintain control over the national carrier and its revenues. Dr. Zindani also highlighted that the militia detained the Yemeni aircraft, targeted the national economy, arbitrarily detained UN and humanitarian workers, and dragged Yemen into regional conflicts at the expense of its people. He reiterated that a just and comprehensive peace remains the government's strategic choice, while warning that continued military escalation and threats to Yemen's security would be met with what he described as a firm response to protect the state and its citizens.
In another official response to the militia's escalation, Minister of Information Muammar al-Iryani dismissed Houthi claims that a direct air link with Iran is needed to break what the militia describes as a blockade, calling the narrative misleading and contrary to facts. Al-Iryani said restrictions on Sana'a International Airport and Hodeidah Port were eased following the United Nations procured truce in April 2022 following regular commercial flights to Jordan and Egypt, as well as continued maritime access through Hodeidah ports. He said the government supported those humanitarian measures and made concessions to ease the suffering of civilians, while the Houthi terrorist militia exploited airport and port revenues, refused to allocate them for public sector salaries, and diverted resources to finance military activities.
The minister added that the militia's attacks on international shipping since late 2023 triggered military responses that ultimately disrupted operations at Sana'a Airport and damaged Yemeni Airways aircraft stationed there. He concluded that the deterioration of air traffic and port operations was the direct result of Houthi military escalation, not the government measures or actions by the Arab coalition.
Minister of Interior Major General Ibrahim Haidan discussed strengthened security cooperation with Japanese Ambassador Iwachi Nakashima. The meeting reviewed the security situation in Yemen amid continued escalation by the Houthi terrorist militia, as well as opportunities to expand bilateral cooperation. Minister Haidan highlighted the ministry's interest in working with Japan on forensic services, training capacity building, and to strengthen the Coast Guard's ability to protect Yemen's coastline, territorial waters, and combat smuggling and organized crime. For his part, Ambassador Nakashima reaffirmed Japan's continued support for Yemen and its commitment to expanding cooperation with the Ministry of Interior in ways that contribute to security and stability.
In another meeting, Minister Ibrahim Haidan discussed strengthening security cooperation with senior British officials, meeting with UK Deputy Ambassador and Political Counselor Michelle Atkinson and Security Attaché Lieutenant Colonel Martin Umsho. The minister reviewed ways to expand cooperation in police training, institutional capacity building, counter-terrorism, and the fight against organized crime. Minister Haidan briefed the British delegation on the latest security developments and the ministry's efforts to modernize security institutions, improve operational readiness, and enhance the capabilities of law enforcement agencies. For her part, Deputy Ambassador Atkinson reaffirmed the United Kingdom's commitment to supporting Yemen's Ministry of Interior and expanding bilateral cooperation in the security sector.
Minister of State and Aden Governor Abdulrahman Sheikh discussed ongoing Dutch-supported development projects with Netherlands Ambassador to Yemen Janet Sieben. The meeting reviewed the progress of projects funded by the Kingdom of the Netherlands, particularly in water sector, and proposal to launch rapid response and field monitoring initiatives to improve public services. The two sides also discussed ways to strengthen the participation of local authorities and communities in identifying development priorities and shaping future internationally funded projects. Governor Sheikh reaffirmed the local authorities' commitment to expanding cooperation with international partners to support sustainable development and improve essential services for the people of Aden.
Minister of Public Health and Population, Dr. Ghassan Bahibeh, discussed expanding health cooperation with French Ambassador Catherine Kerm-Kamoun. Dr. Bahibeh outlined the ministry's reform priorities, highlighting their review of the national health strategy and increased investment in training and developing healthcare professionals to address critical workforce shortages. He described France as a key partner in supporting Yemen's health sector and expressed hope for broader cooperation in medical education, institutional development, and primary healthcare services. For her part, Ambassador Kerm-Kamoun reaffirmed France's commitment to supporting Yemen's health sector and praised the ministry's reform efforts despite the country's ongoing challenges.
Minister of Water and Environment Tawfiq al-Sharjabi discussed expanding cooperation with acted organizations to strengthen Yemen's water and environmental sectors. Meeting in Aden with acted Country Director Rafael Equality, the two sides reviewed the ministry's priorities and discussed challenges facing the water and environment sectors, particularly climate change, disaster risk management, and infrastructure development. Minister al-Sharjabi reaffirmed the ministry's commitment to strengthen institutional coordination with acted and expanded joint programs that improve water services, protect the environment, and enhance Yemen's resilience to climate change. For her part, Equality reaffirmed Acted's commitment to working closely with the ministry and relevant institutions to implement programs that support Yemen's national priorities in water, environmental protection, and climate adaptation.
Minister of Social Affairs and Labour Mukhtar al-Yafi'i discussed expanding cooperation with UNOPS to support social development programs in Yemen. During talks with UNOPS Program Advisor Dr. Khaldoon Salem in Aden, al-Yafi'i explored cooperation in implementing community-based projects, upgrading social care facilities, and improving logistical and operational support for rehabilitation and welfare centers. Minister al-Yafi'i stressed the importance of aligning development projects with the ministry's priorities and the needs of vulnerable communities to ensure assistance reaches those who need it most.
In Marib, Deputy Governor for Defense and Security Major General Nasser Raqib met at a United Nation team to discuss ongoing efforts to facilitate the release of detainees in Yemen. The meeting with a delegation from the Office of United Nations Special Envoy for Yemen, led by Detainee Affairs Advisor Radwan Nuruddin, reviewed progress in supporting the humanitarian process and overcoming logistical challenges. Major General Raqib praised the work of the technical and field committees, commending their role in facilitating procedures and helping advance efforts aimed at securing the release of detainees.
The Saudi Development and Reconstruction Program for Yemen hosted a meeting of the Yemen Partners Group in Riyadh to review development priorities and strengthen coordination among international partners. The meeting, co-chaired by the United Kingdom, the UN Resident Coordinator's Office, and the World Bank Group, focused on accelerating development efforts in support of peace and stability in Yemen. During the meeting, Assistant Supervisor General of the Saudi Development and Reconstruction Program for Yemen, Hassan Al-Attas, said the program launched development projects worth 1.9 billion Saudi riyals during the first half of 2026. He added that the program also provided 1.3 billion Saudi riyals in budget support to help finance government operating expenses and salaries, while supplying fuel for more than 70 power stations across Yemen.
That's all for tonight. Thank you for watching and have a good time.
Have a good time.